The 2026 volleyball season at Arkansas Tech University is right around the corner, and here to visit about it is Hannah Wuest, the head volleyball coach at Arkansas Tech, as she begins her second season with the Golden Suns. And Coach, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
I mentioned this is your second season at Arkansas Tech, and I think any of us who've ever had a job can relate to the fact that you probably learn more about your job the first year you do it than any other time in your life. What did you learn about being a head volleyball coach over the last year that you'll be able to apply this season for your benefit and also for the benefit of your program?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that you don't have to have all the answers. It's okay to ask your players, let's figure this out together. When I first got here, I felt like, I had to solve every issue, every problem that they came with me. I had to give them the right answer. And I feel like now I've started to learn, these ladies can figure these things out themselves. They really know, what they want to do with this culture. They know where they want to take this program. And so some of the times we just have to talk about it, and they sometimes come up with the answer. And I think sometimes that makes it stick a little bit more, instead of me always saying, here, I'll solve it for you. And it helps them grow a little bit too.
Those returning players who've been in the program for 2 or 3 years, the success that you all had last season, being in the Great American Conference title chase right up to the end of the regular season, making it to the postseason in volleyball for the first time since 2022, the confidence that you've seen grow in those young women, how is that benefiting them as volleyball players and as people? Yeah,
I think they now just know what it takes. I think it's always easy to talk about it we want to do this. But when you are there and you experience it and you feel the highs of the highs and the lows of the lows, you finally experience it and you kind of know what to expect. And I think that was the biggest thing for them is it's not the potential anymore. It's, okay, we've done this before. And that gives them so much more confidence to go out and do it again. And so I think that was the biggest thing that the veterans learned is, they can be successful. They did it. They've done it before. And I think doing it in the real life practice kind of helps more than just the, one day.
Once last season was over and you had some time to evaluate your returning players on an individual basis, but also collectively, what are some of the ways in which you wanted to see those returning players improve, and how do you feel like you've made progress in those areas?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I wanted to see off the court was just their leadership, them taking full accountability in what they wanted to do. And then on the court, just fine-tuning their volleyball IQ. I think they're so athletic, and that's the first thing that I noticed when I got here last year was these girls were athletic, and now I need to make them volleyball players. So we just fine-tuned a few things here and there this spring, but I think more what I'm seeing is off-the-court leadership and bringing the younger girls under their wing and just saying, hey, this is how we do things here, or hey, we don't do that here. And they're so quick to hold each other accountable. And it feels so much better coming from the players and not me all the time, feeling like the coach is always nagging and always saying, hey, this is what we want to do. This is our culture. They're the driving force of it. And I think that's really fun to see the veterans just taking a hold of that and making it their own.
Another way to improve the program is through the recruiting process. As you evaluated your roster at the end of last season, what was going to be coming back for this season, and thought about maybe some of the positions and some of the gaps that existed on that roster, what are some of the ways that you tried to address those, and how do you feel like you improved your roster through this year's recruiting class?
Well, I feel like we had a great foundation of kids already here. So I didn't feel like, we needed to find somebody to replace this person right away. I felt like it was making the people that we have better, which was big, but also, having to replace the 6 rotation Millie she did things that weren't in the stats. Her leadership on the court was huge. So I knew I needed to bring in, even somebody with the potential of that. And so I brought in a few transfers that I think could really step into that leadership role. And then for me, Kenzie Garrett played great for us last year in and out of the lineup. And I thought, I need somebody else to learn from her. And so I brought in a really cool setter, Kylie Lambert, as a freshman. And I think it's hard to run the offense as a freshman, but I think her and Kenzie together will be really fun to watch. So those were the 2 areas that I knew I needed to kind of fine tune. And so nothing huge, nothing significant, but just making the players that I have on roster better.
As you continue to build Golden Suns volleyball back to a championship level, one of the ways that you do that is through creating a player-led team. To you, what is different about a player-led team, and what does a player-led team look like?
So I talk a lot about them setting the standard, them setting the culture. And so having those meetings of what does it look like? And then me hearing what they want to do and hearing the words that they want to, echo over and over and over again. I think doing that and then holding them accountable to it. And it's so much easier to be like, hey guys, remember, this is what you wanted, right? And so I think for me, just listening to them, taking their words in and quote unquote, using it against them a little bit when the standard falls and being like, hey, remember this, I'm just right behind you, ready to push you and things like that. And we read a lot of books. We read a lot of articles. I think listening to other people's experiences kind of help know that, hey, other people are going through this stuff too. And, even the best of the best have, struggles and things like that. So having some outside sources come in and talk to the girls or things to read, I think is really big for our leadership too.
Preseason camp and getting ready for that season opener on August 28th, that is all, it's hard work. But I know it's important also to have fun while you're working hard. What are some of the things you do within your program during practice, day to day, to make sure that these young ladies are not just working hard, but also having fun?
Yeah, we do some teammate dates that they have to take. Some of the older girls have to take the younger girls out on a date. And I say, what does a date look like? You go and you grab the food and you sit there and you wait for both of you to get your food and, kind of the elegance of that. And then we're going to go have a pool party somewhere. And then I call it force fun team time. So just, some light icebreakers for them to get to know each other. They spent all week, the first week of July together with camps, which was really fun. But they talked more about the outside stuff than the volleyball stuff, I think, the week that they were here, which cool. They have those friendships, but now turning those friendships into, okay, I'm going to hold my teammate accountable and having to have those, tough conversations, I think will be a few things this preseason. But preseason goes by so fast. So we try to get in the gym as much as possible.
And it will go by especially fast this year because the way the NCAA Division II calendar lines up this year, the season starts on August 28th, and it's going to start early that day for y'all because y'all get to play at 9 a.m. on that first day.
Absolutely.
But what are some of the things that you feel like between the lines you need to be able to emphasize and work on between now and that first match?
Yeah, so I think first, establishing our identity is a big thing, and knowing who we are. And that doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of thousands of quality reps and things like that. But I also, August 28th will be here in a blink of an eye. And I don't want us to be playing our best volleyball in August. I want us to be playing our best volleyball at the end of October, beginning of November. And so I think going out in that first tournament, it'll be a real big eye opener of like, okay, these are the things we got to work on. Let's go back to the drawing board. But I think, this preseason, getting that first contact down is going to be big. Really working on our transition attacking with our setters and making those decisions. We talked a lot about volleyball IQ this spring. And so I think just kind of continuing that this fall and this preseason and making the decisions of what you want to make will be really big for, I think, our offense and our success.
The 2026 Arkansas Tech volleyball season will begin on August 28th and 29th at the Washburn Invitational in Topeka, Kansas. The first home match of the season for the Golden Suns is coming up on Tuesday, September 8th. We invite you to go to arkansastechsports.com, check out the schedule, check out the roster, and everything else you need to know about Golden Suns volleyball to get ready to support our Arkansas Tech program this fall. Coach Wuest, thank you very much for making this time for us, and best of luck this season.
Go Golden Suns.
That is Hannah Wuest, the head volleyball coach at Arkansas Tech University. Until next time, so long, everybody.